And I would like to invite Miss Annalise Warren to come forward to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. And she's making her way up to the podium. Oh, she's adorable. Bring the mic down for her, please. Okay, Miss Annalise, whenever you're ready.
I pledge allegiance to a flag and alliance to America and to a republic which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We love our flag, our beautiful flag. Allegiance we pledge to you. We love our flag, our beautiful flag. Red and white and blue.
Wow. Woo! All right. You may be seated except for Annalise. Hold on, Annalise. Wow. You were fabulous, and you sang too. You have now set a new precedent for our board meetings. Everyone who comes now is going to have to sing a song. You did wonderful, sweetheart. Can you tell us, Annalise, how old are you?
5.
5. Wow. And what school do you go to?
Stevens and Adela.
Wow. And what do you like to do at school?
I like to learn.
Oh, bless your heart. And she's also going to be our poster child for the school district, yes. And are you going to have some fun this summer?
Yes.
What are you going to be doing?
I would do,
You're going to go swimming or
Yes.
to the beach, or what do you like to do in the summer?
I like to go swimming in the pool.
Awesome. Well, you are just such a blessing to us, and we thank you for coming here today. You did a terrific job with the pledge, and I hope you have an awesome summer. Let's give her another round of applause. Yeah. Oh, yes. And you got to tell us who is with you here today.
Pop, Daddy,
Yes.
Nana, Papa.
And I understand that your grandmother works for the Polk County District here in the superintendent's office. Is that correct? Is that your Nana?
Yes.
And what's your Nana's name? Miss Elizabeth Warren, right? You are so cute. You just have to stay here the whole day. That's all there is to it. So thank you so much, Annalise. You have a wonderful summer, and we'll see you come do the pledge again. Promise?
Yes.
Okay, sounds great. Thank you, dear. Now, at this time, I would like to call the Polk County School Board meeting for June 19th, 2018 to order. And now it is time to accept the agenda. Madam Superintendent, are there any revisions to the agenda as printed?
We have a few. Add item C5, recognitions, kids tag art. Add item C66, administrative and instructional personnel actions, replace backup. Item 69, administrative contract reappointments, replace backup. That concludes the revisions to today's agenda.
Thank you, Madam Superintendent. What is the pleasure of the board today?
Move acceptance of today's agenda. Second.
Okay, I have a motion by Ms. Fields and a second by Ms. Sellers. Is there any discussion? Seeing none? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, like sign. Motion carries. Okay, now we're going to have our special recognitions. Mrs. Bird, do we have any recognitions today?
Yes, we do. I would like to ask School Board Member Sarah Beth Reynolds to please step to the front for our special recognitions. Our Director of the Polk Education Foundation, Susan Copeland, will now come forward to recognize Kelly Lon Bratton, who sponsors scholarships through the foundation.
Good afternoon, everyone. Most of you, I think, are familiar with our Take Stock in Children program. It's a scholarship program that looks for students who may not have the funds to attend college, but if given the means, they would certainly be successful. Many are also the first in their families to ever go to college, so they don't always have a support system that knows how to navigate the process, so that's something that our staff works to do. Each year there's a class of graduates. We replace our graduates with 25 to 30 or so new students that come into our program. So at any given time, we probably have 100 or so in our Take Stock in Children program. So we provide services to all of them to keep them successful, in addition to having purchased a Florida prepaid scholarship for them. We match each with a mentor. That's non-negotiable. They have to meet with their mentor at least twice a month. We have a college success coach that visits them at their high school campus and helps them with any need that may come up. And then we have college prep, social skills, all sorts of workshops additionally after school hours so that their parents can attend with them. The fact that they know they have a scholarship and a support system certainly acts as an incentive for them to stay in school and graduate, and the support of their mentor and our staff, I know, truly makes a difference as well. So as an education foundation, we can buy Florida prepaid scholarships at a reduced rate, and each Take Stock student has at least a 2-year award waiting for them when they leave our program. We also purchase 2+2s or just a 4-year scholarship to upgrade seniors who have excelled when they graduate. To do all this work, we certainly need donors, and we certainly need mentors. And the guests I have with me today actually are both. So Kelly Lon Brayton, come on up, Kelly, and her husband Tommy are both here, and they've made a huge impact on our program. Over the last 2 years, this couple has donated $25,000 to our Take Stock in Children program. So you heard me say we had a match. Yes. Very well-deserved applause, I agree. So the match turns it into $50,000 with our Florida prepaid partnership. Wow. So with that, they've served 2 students, so 2 graduates, one from Lake Region, yes, that's right, and Chain of Lakes Collegiate High School, have graduated and are now in college with a 4-year tuition scholarship due to the Braytons. So Kelly, we haven't talked Tommy into it yet, but Kelly is also a mentor. And I can tell you at any given time, it's hard to have 100 active mentors. So Kelly's been a mentor with our Take Stock in Children program for 3 years. And so I just have to say, they're all in. They give funds and they give their time, and it's a big deal, and we really appreciate the 2 of you. So what they did was, knowing they wanted to help students, and then Kelly was telling me about the values her dad instilled in her for getting an education. She said he'd been a teacher at one time, I believe it was. So they developed the Les Lon Memorial Scholarship for Academic Excellence. So not only are they helping a student go to college, 2 students, but they're honoring her father is at the same time. So I've asked Ms. Reynolds to present them with a plaque that gives that award name to thank them. I'll let you go up there. Go ahead. And to help honor her father, it has the 2 recipients that they've are helping go to college right now. And then you notice all those little blank placards. We're hoping that they'll want to fill those all one day with other students that they're supporting. So thank you both. No, we're good. We're fine. Thank you. Thank you both.
Thank you all for what you do for our children. Next, Scott Guerra, President of Polk Pride, will now come forward to recognize Polk Pride Week. Billy Townsend will read the proclamation.
Whereas Polk County, Florida is part of a global community in which people of diverse cultures, races, creeds, genders, and sexual identities must work together toward peace and understanding. And whereas the lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, and questioning LGBTQ students within Polk County contribute to this vibrant, innovative, culturally inclusive, world-class community and to its diversity. And whereas various advancements have been made with respect to equal rights and protections for all peoples, including the LGBTQ community, throughout the state of Florida and the United States, and whereas members of the LGBTQ community still face ongoing discrimination based on their innate status, resulting in immeasurable human tragedy, loss of life, community isolation, and abuse. And whereas PFLAG of Polk County and Lakeland Youth Alliance envisions a world where diversity is celebrated and all people are respected, valued, and affirmed, inclusive of their sexual orientation, gender identity, and gender expression, Therefore, be it resolved that the School Board of Polk County hereby proclaims June 13th through 16th, 2008 as LGBTQ Pride Week.
Hi, I'm Christine Lally. I'm stepping in for Scott Gira today. I am president of Lakeland Youth Alliance. I have about 55 regular students attending my group every month. Just to give you a few things that we've done over the last few months, in April we threw an inclusive LGBTQ open prom where we had 72 kids in attendance. And then last Wednesday we had our Pride for Youth celebration with over 55 youth in attendance. So thank you for serving my youth in the schools, and I will continue to serve them outside the schools.
Thank you for allowing me to speak. My name is Marbellis Wonders, and I'm the parent of a transgender student who attends Lakeland High School. I stand before you tonight as both a parent and an employee of this district. First of all, thank you so much for this proclamation. Your words of acknowledgement and support mean a great deal to the LGBTQ students in our district. Second, I ask that you take the next step and to please back up these words with of acknowledgement and support with action. As a parent of an LGBT child and an educator in this district, I know that there are administrators, teachers, counselors, and many others who care about these students and support them. I know that that they encourage the students every day, and they do what is right for them. And they do it because it's the right and the moral thing to do. It's time for that attitude to be solidified with clear, defined LGBT-specific policies, procedures, trainings that are mandated from the county. Because this is not just about the few handful of LGBTQ students sitting in our classrooms. It's about the LGBTQ parents of students. It's about your own LGBTQ employees in your workplaces, and about the LGBT in the community members who have gone through the school system that need to know that they are acknowledged, respected, accepted, supported, and loved. It needs to be clear to every administrator, teacher, bus driver, cafeteria worker, custodian, and everyone else that works in this district that you stand on the right side of this issue, that you support every student, whether they be gay or straight, black or white, football player or drama student, gender fluid or cisgender, gifted or ESC, that you are truly mean what you say when you say students first. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, our director, Nancy Puri, will now come forward for a special recognition for Kids Tag Art.
Good afternoon. We are here today to accept from our tax collector, Joe Tedder, the proceeds from the Kids Tag Art program, which is now in its 12th year. I keep wanting it to be 13 years, but it's 12 years. But first, I would like to thank the board and Mrs. Bird for your wonderful long-term commitment to the arts in our county. We have arts in every single one of our schools and support with teachers and materials because of that commitment. And we're so grateful for that. Mr. Tedder has created the Kids Tag Art program, which has infused and really transformed all of our arts programs, our visual arts programs, with materials and equipment and special learning opportunities for our students. And so I'd like to introduce Mr. Tedder to you, and he's going to say a few words.
Good afternoon. Thank you very much, Nancy. It's always a pleasure to be with you this time of year. Actually, normally we do a little bit earlier, but it's great to be with you. As you know, the Kids Tag Art, as Nancy said, this is our 12th year. And as in all great ideas, that actually the Kids Tag Art program came from the creative mind of your children, the children that exist in our Polk County school system. As you can imagine, the tax collector's office, when we're asked to go do the Great American Teach-In, the first thing we do is try to figure out what in the world is a tax collector going to talk about to a bunch of fifth graders that they would find remotely interesting. Even most adults, when I speak to a Rotary Club, I'm thinking, what am I going to say to be remotely interesting? But we would go and take a bunch of tags, the tags that you would see in the back of people's cars. And we'd take those and we would thumb through those tags, and the kids would see those tags, and we'd all talk about what the different tags mean and where the money goes for that. And usually a couple of weeks later, we would receive thank you notes back from those children for coming to their class, and they would actually draw their own little tag on their thank you notes. And we thought, wouldn't it be wonderful if we can take that artistic expression of that child and actually make it into a product that could be sold, and then have that money go right back to the art teacher's classroom so that they can do some things with those funds to supplement the wonderful support that the school board has had for several years. So that was the idea of the Kids Tag Art. We are celebrating a very important time in this particular program. 12 years ago, 13 years ago, when I went to Dr. McKenzie and asked her and told her about this idea that we had, she was very supportive. And the school board was very supportive. And because of the great efforts of, at the time, Frank Howes, which was your director of fine arts, and then Patricia Lamb, they came on board and they were extremely supportive. And even some of those early supporters like Central Florida Eurocars, which was our first major sponsor, and a number of other community partners came in and decided that this was important and they would support it. And what was neat about this is this program is expanded now beyond Polk County. Because of this county and the leaders in this county and school board members and former leaders of this school district, now with the support of you, our current superintendent, our current fine arts director, and Nancy Puri, this program has grown, and there are over 16 tax collectors that have accepted this program and are starting to do it, with another 6 that will be coming on board soon. Last week, I had the opportunity to represent the Tax Collectors Association and attended the Florida Cabinet meeting with all the tax collectors that participate in this program and many others. And what we were celebrating was passing the $1 million mark of money raised for the arts classroom through the Kids Tag Art program with all the different tax collectors. It would not have happened. It truly would not have happened without the support of the past leadership of this school board and the current leadership of this school board. So you should feel just as excited as I was standing up in front of the Florida Cabinet, receiving a resolution recognizing this program, because you were as part of it as much as anything that we did in the tax collector's office. Now, this year, we're going to be giving you our big check that we give you every year, and a little smaller check that comes through the foundation, Education Foundation, representing this year's funds for just Polk County. We've raised more than we've ever raised before, and so that is also extremely exciting as well. But I thank all of you for your support, everything that you do. We have a number of community sponsors that, if you can just bear with me, I want to make sure that I mention Legoland Florida, D-Print, Hall Communications, Ledger Media Group, Public Supermarket Charities, Mid-Florida, Grasslands at Oak Bridge, Unlimited DPI, Point and Pay, the Florida Heart Research Institute, the Polk Arts Alliance, the Polk Education Foundation, the Polk Museum of Art, and of course, the Polk County School System. And most important of all of us, if it wasn't for the amazing art teachers in the elementary classrooms that are doing a great job making sure these kids are prepared in so many ways, it would never work. So thank you, and we'd like to present with you a check for $39,171.80. Sarah?
My district win again?
No, I'm sorry. School board member Reynolds, I'm sorry to be official here, since I'm taking something away from you. The winner this year, she has her little plaque. Thank you for remembering that. And you are going to have to.
Up there all year.
Oh, it has?
No, it has. I had to move it because Lynn was trying to steal it.
Well, glad he's not here. I'd have to get in a fight with him. No, but this year's winner is school board member Hazel Sellers.
It gets to stay here. There you go, gets to sit there.
Just temporary, right?
We'll get it back next year.
Okay, yes.
Thank you. That concludes all of our recognitions for this evening.
Thank you, Madam Superintendent. Okay, next we will have public comments. Is there anyone in the audience today that would like to come forward to address any of the items on our agenda? Anyone? All right, next we're going to move on, board members, to approve our minutes. The first group of minutes was for the May 15th work session. What is the pleasure of the board?
Move approval of the minutes of the May 15th work session.
Second.
I have a motion by Mrs. Sellers and a second by Ms. Reynolds to approve the May 15th work session minutes. Is there any discussion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, like sign. All right, the motion carries unanimously. Next, we have our May 15th school board meeting minutes. What is the pleasure of the board?
Move approval.
We have a motion by Ms. Reynolds and a second by Ms. Fields to approve the May 15th, 2018 school board meeting minutes. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, like sign. The motion carries. Next, we'll move down to our consent agenda. What is the pleasure of the board?
Move approval of the consent agenda for today's meeting.
Second.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion by Ms. Fields and a second by Ms. Sellers to approve the consent agenda for June 19th, 2018. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, like sign. Motion carries unanimously. Now it is time for our new administrator announcements. Mrs. Bird, do we have any people that we would like to recognize today?
Yes, we do.
All right.
I am pleased to recommend the appointment of Tangela Durham as principal of Scott Lake Elementary. Ms. Durham previously served as assistant principal at Griffin Elementary. She attended Troy State University, earning a bachelor's degree in elementary education. She went on to earn a master's degree in educational leadership and policy studies at the University of South Florida. Welcome, Ms. Durham.
I'm glad the timer is not on. No, I'm not going to talk that long. First of all, I want to say thank you to the board and to Ms. Bird and to Ms. Henderson sitting in the back, because you have given me the opportunity to serve all of the students of Scott Lake, and I'm excited beyond measure, and I cannot wait to begin. I think we're going to meet Thursday morning, right, Ms. Henderson? So I'm very excited, and thank you for this opportunity. But I have a couple people I have to thank. My mom, who is always my biggest supporter and cheerleader, even though I know sometimes she wants to throw me to the curb. And then my daughter, Lizzie, who is a product of Polk County Schools. She went K through 12 and graduated at Auburndale High School last year with honors, and just finished her first year at Florida State University pre-law on the dean's list. So Polk County Schools producing great students. And then my dearest, and she's going to kill me for this, but oldest friend, Miss B.J. Stinson. She's my rock, and she's also an administrator here in Polk County. So thank you. I am honored, and I cannot wait to begin this journey.
Congratulations. Is Dawn here? Dawn's not here. She's not here. Well, I'll go ahead and read it anyway. I am pleased to recommend the appointment of Dawn Jeffers as the principal of Eastside Elementary. Ms. Jeffers previously served as assistant principal of Highlands Grove Elementary. She attended Roberts Wesley College, earning a bachelor's degree in elementary education with a Spanish minor. She went on to earn her master's degree in education administration from Jones International University. Let's welcome her, even though she's not here, but it's a great addition to our team.
Wonderful.
Last but not least, I'm pleased to recommend the appointment of Catherine Robb as the principal of Lake Ship Elementary. Ms. Robb previously served as assistant principal of Eagle Lake Elementary. She attended the University of Central Florida, earning a bachelor's degree in elementary education. She went on to earn her master's degree in educational leadership from Nova Southeastern University. Welcome, Kathy.
Thank you, Mrs. Bird, and thank you for giving me this opportunity at Lake Ship. As well as to the school board, I look forward to serving all of those students at Lake Ship Elementary, putting all students first, and moving that school in a terrific direction. We have been there as well, really getting busy at work, and excited about the opportunities ahead. I'd also like to introduce the people with me tonight. I have 3 here with me in person, and one, I think, is trying to get signal to FaceTime with us here. But first, my husband, Andy Robb, is back in the back. My son, Jackson Robb, who is currently a student at the Polk County School Board. He's over at Eagle Lake, where I just came from. And then my daughter, Kaylee Robb, she is also a graduate from Polk County Schools and at the University of Florida, currently doing very well on the dean's list there. So go Gators. But again, thank you for this opportunity. I look forward to the year ahead, and we're going to do great things at Lake Ship. Thank you, Ms. Bird.
Awesome. Thank you. Looking forward to it. That concludes our announcement for new administrators.
Okay, thank you, Mrs. Bird. And now we're going to move on to our regular agenda. If some of you are following along, there are 5 items that have been pulled. Pardon?
Picture.
Oh, yes, yes. Please do your pictures. I'm sorry. Yes, yes, yes.
They were trying to run away.
They were trying to run away? Yes, no, we have a really good photographer, so he's going to make sure he gets. Okay, we are going to move on to our regular agenda, and there were several items that were pulled earlier. So if you're following along, even though they may be under our normal consent agenda, they were pulled to regular. So the first item under Human Resources Services Recommendations is now R66, Recommendations for Administrative and Instructional Personnel Actions. What is the pleasure of the board?
Move for approval.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to approve the recommendations for administrative and instructional personnel actions. Is there any discussion? Mr. Townsend?
Yes. I actually asked that these be pulled, and for reasons I'll explain in a bit. But what I want to show to the public, who's both attending and watching, is that we board members are asked to vote on personnel issues. We are asked to put our names, attach our reputations to decisions involving personnel. Generally, those happen on the consent agenda where no one ever sees them. I want to pull them out because I'm going to vote against each one of these. I am, as I said before, very in the meeting this morning, and I will address this later. I'm dissatisfied with the institutional commitment to a equitable and fair workforce. I'm dissatisfied with our ability to protect our people from power that's abused. And again, I just want to make the public aware, we board members vote for this. We ratify decisions, and I have a very hard time in good conscience ratifying these. Moving ahead, we'll see what I do. But for these tonight, I'm gonna vote against these. Thanks.
Thank you. So at this time, we have a motion and a second. Anyone else? If not, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, like sign.
No.
So we have 5-1, 5 ayes and 1 nay. The next item is R67, recommendations for non-instructional personnel actions. What is the pleasure of the board?
Move approval.
Second.
We have a motion by Ms. Fields and a second by Mr. Harris to approve the recommendations for non-instructional personnel actions. Any discussion? Seeing that, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, like sign.
No.
Okay, so we have the motion carries, 5 ayes and 1 nay. The next item under Human Resource Services recommendations is item number R68, recommendations for temporary duty assignments. What is the pleasure of the board?
Move for approval.
Second.
I have a motion by Ms. Sellers and a second by Ms. Reynolds to approve the recommendations for temporary duty assignments. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, like sign.
No.
And the motion carries. Ayes, 5 yes, and 1 nay. The next item is item number R69, instructional/non-instructional contract reappointments for school year 2018-2019. What is the pleasure of the board?
Move for approval.
Second.
I have a motion by Ms. Sellers and a second by Ms. Fields to approve the non-instructional contract reappointments for the school year 2018-2019. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, like sign.
No.
Okay, we have 5 ayes and 1 nay. The next item is R70, administrative contract reappointments for the school year 2018-2019. What is the pleasure of the board?
Move approval.
Second.
I have a motion by Ms. Reynolds and a second by Ms. Fields to approve the administrative contract reappointments for school year 2018-2019. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, like sign.
No.
So we have 5 ayes and 1 nay. Under administration general items, we have Head Start Administration COLA additional award in the amount of $214,042. What is the pleasure of the board?
Move approval.
Second.
We have a motion by Mr. Harris and a second by Ms. Reynolds. Is there any discussion? Sorry, Ms. Fields. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
No. Aye. Sorry.
Did you vote aye?
I
Aye,
did,
okay.
sorry.
All right.
Slow.
Those opposed, like sign. Motion carries 6-0 unanimous. Under business services, general items, we have R74, 2018-2019, emergency authorization for the superintendent to approve contracts, bid awards, and other financial documents as needed between board meetings. What is the pleasure of the board?
Move for approval.
Second.
I have a motion by Ms. Sellers and a second by Mr. Harris to approve the 2018-2019 emergency authorization for superintendent. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, like sign. Motion carries unanimous, 6-0. The next item is under Business Services General Items, R75, Resolution 2018-2019-06, which would waive the bidding process for the purchase of fuel in the event of a hurricane or tropical storm in our area. What is the pleasure of the board?
Move approval.
Second.
I have a motion by Ms. Fields and a second by Ms. Reynolds to approve Resolution 2018-2019-06. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, like sign. Motion carries, 6-0. Next, we have under Business Services Contracts, R76, COPS, Interlocal Agreement Amendment with the Polk County Sheriff's Office for an increase in cost of $37,286. What is the pleasure of the board?
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion by Mr. Harris and a second by Ms. Reynolds to approve the COPS Interlocal Agreement Amendment with the Polk County Sheriff's Office. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, like sign. Motion carries. Under Facilities and Operations, General Items, Property Management. The first item is R77, Lincoln Avenue Academy PTO land donation. What is the pleasure of the board?
Move approval.
Second.
I have a motion by Ms. Fields and a second by Ms. Reynolds. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, like sign. And the motion carries. The next item is R78, J.K. Stewart Properties LLC donation. What is the pleasure of the board?
Move approval.
Second.
I have a motion by Mr. Townsend and a second by Ms. Sellers to approve the J.K. Stewart Properties donation. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, like sign. Motion carries. Our next item is R79, conveyance of property on Old Lake Alfred Road to the Board of County Commissioners.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion by Mr. Harris and a second by Ms. Reynolds to approve the conveyance of the property on Old Lake Alfred Road to the Board of County Commissioners. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, like sign. Motion carries. Next, we have under Support Services General Items, R80, Community Eligibility Provision for the 2018-2019 school year. What is the pleasure of the board?
Move approval.
Second.
I have a motion by Ms. Fields and a second by Mr. Townsend to approve the Community Eligibility Provision for the 2018-2019 school year. Is there any discussion? Mr. Harris.
In all good conscience, I can't support this for one simple reason. Tax dollars are being spent to provide lunches and breakfast meals for families with six-figure incomes. I feel that is inappropriate use of tax dollars, and it is being done as a way to cut back on administrative activities or cost. I understand it is an easier fix, but in my opinion, it is a more costly fix for the community, even though it's federal dollars that are going to be paying for breakfast and lunch. It still sends the message to the community to accept welfare even if you don't need it. And if you're making $100,000 a year, I'm sorry, the taxpayers should not be buying your child's lunch at school. So I can't support this. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Harris. Mr. Townsend?
I just want to, there's an additional, well, you know, again, everybody pays taxes. I mean, pay federal income tax. And that money goes up to Washington, D.C., and then it comes back here. And cell phones ring while it comes back down. But, you know, I think this is money that allows us to provide additional services, and particularly what it allows us to do is have kids who need to have food do it without having a stigma of being the kid who gets laughed at because they need to have free lunch. What Tim didn't tell you is that during the work session today, our staff member talking about this said that after the hurricane last year, when we did there was sort of a temporary version of this. Lunches at George Jenkins High surged. There was a surge of people who would have been eligible anyway, who went and got fed. You know, because the stigma was gone. And you know, I think we're all in the business of being students first here, and I think it's important that we take as much stigma away from our kids as we can. And I just think this is a common sense use of tax money, and I support it.
Thank you, Mr. Townsend. Mrs. Fields?
Historically, I just wanted to say we discussed this morning that when this idea was brought to us years ago by Marsha Smith, who was the person over food services at that time, it was basically to allow high school students who were maybe embarrassed to go through the lunch line getting a free or reduced lunch to just go through the lunch line without anybody knowing what their economic status might be. And so that was, in my recollection, the reasoning for the program getting started. And so I think one of the questions that we wanted to know this morning, and it was answered, is that not all of the students that would be in the area that Mr. Harris referenced would be receiving lunches. Some of them would. And so at the end of the day, I think that it's good for us to be able to provide a meal to any child who is in need of that.
Thank you, Ms. Fields. Okay, so all of those in favor of approving the community eligibility provision for the 2018 through 2019 school year, please signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, like sign?
Nay.
That would be 5-1. Motion carries. Next, under Workforce Charter School Division, we have R81, and I'm going to be reading off, and I believe we need to vote on each one individually. The following non-high-performing charter schools are requesting an increase in their enrollment. Those who are high-performing automatically are allowed to up their enrollment, but those who are non-high-performing have to come to the board for a vote. And we have 5 of them tonight, so bear with us. The first one is Cypress Junction Montessori is requesting to increase their enrollment by 22 to 182 to add 8th grade. What is the pleasure of the board?
Move approval.
Second.
I have a motion by Mr. Townsend and a second by Mrs. Sellers to approve Cypress Junction Montessori's request to increase their enrollment to 182. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, like sign. Motion carries 6-0. The second one is Discovery High School is requesting to increase their enrollment to 180 to address the addition of their 12th grade. What is the pleasure of the board?
Move for approval.
Second.
We have Ms. Sellers who made a motion, and it's seconded by Ms. Fields to approve Discovery High School's request to increase their enrollment to 180 for the addition of their 12th grade. Is there any discussion? Mr. Harris.
Discovery High School is in Lake Alfred, and it wants to increase its student enrollment by 180 students. Yet you, as the taxpayer, have empty seats at Tenor Rock High School, and they're asking for additional seats to be paid for in Lake Alfred. We need high school seats other places in the county, not there. This is not a wise use of tax dollars to increase that charter school's seats while we have empty seats sitting over at Tenor Rock High School. I don't think that's the appropriate thing to do in this case. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Harris. Mr. Townsend?
Additionally, I've had some criticisms of the Discovery system at the middle school level. I pointed this out a few weeks back. They got rid of, voluntarily dismissed 60 kids last year, including about 10% of their African American population. I think that was at the middle school level, not at the high school level, but these things are intended to flow into one another. So I'm not going to be able to support this either.
Thank you, Mr. Townsend. Ms. Sellers?
I understand the concerns, but when we approved this charter, we approved it with the understanding that they would roll up and add an 11th grade and a 12th grade. So this is to accommodate the uprising 12th graders, their seats. To me, it would be first of all, we approved the plan, and this was the plan to add these. This isn't a new request. This was an ongoing part of the plan that we approved to begin with. But I'm thinking about the juniors now that are going to be seniors, and not to approve it, how disruptive that will be to those 180 kids that are moving up to 12th grade. So therefore, I will be approving it. I'm approving it for the kids. So thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Sellers. Mrs. Fields?
Just ditto, Ms. Sellers. I would think it would be very challenging for the students and for the families who have gone through 11th grade, and then their 12th grade year, they have to seek another high school. So, and we did agree, as Ms. Sellers said, prior to this. So I will be supporting the motion.
Thank you, Ms. Fields. So at this time, the motion on the floor is to approve Discovery High School's request to increase their enrollment to 180 to add the 12th grade. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, like sign.
Nay.
No.
We have the ayes have it, 4 to 2 nays. Okay. Our next item is for Polk State Collegiate Lakeland Gateway to College High School is requesting to increase their enrollment by 25 to a total of 225. What is the pleasure of the board?
Move approval.
Second.
I have a motion by Ms. Fields and a second by Ms. Sellers to approve Polk State College's Lakeland Gateway to College High School for their request to increase their enrollment by 25 to a total of 225 students. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, like sign. And the motion carries 6-0. The next one is Polk Avenue Elementary is requesting to increase their enrollment by 10. The approved enrollment is for 540. For the 2017-18 school year, the school's enrollment was 516. There are open seats at this site and other elementary sites within the Lake Wales charter system. What is the pleasure of the board?
Move for approval.
Second.
We have a motion by Ms. Sellers and a second by Ms. Fields to approve Polk Avenue Elementary's request to increase their enrollment by 10 seats. Is there any discussion? Ms. Sellers?
I'm going to approve this even though they had open seats because the charters in Lake Wales are a little different than other charters. They really are serving their hometown. Another charter usually takes in students, and if students don't get in, they have a home school to go to. But in Lake Wales, these were the home schools that have been turned into charter schools. So if they don't have a seat for them, they have to be many times transported out of town to go to another school. So we only pay for the kids that are in the seats, but I'm not real sure why we limit the seats because as their charter is different because kids move in and out just like they do in our regular schools. And I want to be assured that the charter system, the elementary system, has enough seats and they never turn away a kid because we've artificially limited the seats. And I believe what they are doing now is if one school's filled, they'll move their overflow to another one of their charters. That's my understanding, which maybe didn't happen before. So I want to be sure that they have plenty of seats to accommodate the kids of Lake Wales.
Thank you, Ms. Sellers. Ms. Reynolds?
I just wanted, and I think your comments just clarified, but I just wanted to clarify that that you're moving to approve the number, not the recommendation.
Yes.
The increase, not the
Yes.
recommendation.
Yes.
I'm good.
Thank you, Ms. Reynolds, because the recommendation by staff was to deny this request. But that is not the motion on the table.
I'm sorry if I wasn't clear.
That's
Thank
okay.
you.
Just
Okay,
wanted to double
so
check.
I will restate that. Is there any other discussion before I do that? Before we vote, let me restate that the motion on the floor and the second is to approve Polk Avenue Elementary's request to increase their enrollment by 10 students. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, like sign. Motion carries. And our last one today is Victory Ridge Academy is requesting to increase their enrollment by 15 to a total of 260 to accommodate the addition of 12th grade. What is the pleasure of the board?
Move approval. Second?
We have a motion by Mr. Townsend and a second by Ms. Reynolds to approve Victory Ridge Academy's request to increase their enrollment by 15 students, 15 seats. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, like sign. Motion carries. Okay, now it is time for our public hearing. So I would like to recess our school board meeting and open up the public hearing. At this time, I would like to call the public hearing for June 19th, 2018 to order. The first item is R82, Polk State College Lakeland Gateway to College High School Contract Renewal. Is there anyone in the audience that would like to come forward to address this item on our agenda today? Anybody? Is she coming up? No, okay. All right. So at this time, board members, what is the pleasure of the board?
I move approval.
Second?
We have a motion by Ms. Fields and a second by Ms. Sellers to approve the Polk State College Lakeland Gateway to College High School contract renewal. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, like sign. Motion carries. The next item is R83, the 2018-2019 Exceptional Student Education Policies and Procedures. Is there anyone in the audience that would like to come forward to speak on this item? Seeing none, what is the pleasure of the board?
Move for approval.
Second.
I have a motion by Ms. Sellers and a second by Mr. Townsend to approve the 2018-2019 Exceptional Student Education Policies and Procedures. Is there any discussion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, like sign. Motion carries unanimously. The next item is R84, the 2018-2019 Student Progression Plan. Is there anyone in the audience that would like to come forward to address this item? Seeing none, what is the pleasure of the board?
Move approval of the update.
Second.
We have a motion by Ms. Fields and a second by Ms. Reynolds to approve the 2018-2019 Student Progression Plan. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, like sign. Motion carries. The next item is R85, rezone Gibbons Street Elementary students. Is there anyone in the audience that would like to come forward to address this item? Seeing none, what is the pleasure of the board?
Move approval.
Second.
We have a motion by Mr. Townsend and a second by Ms. Reynolds to approve the rezoning of Gibbons Street Elementary students. Is there any discussion? Mrs. Sellers.
I just want to state that I appreciate the community. This was not an easy decision. We've postponed doing it for years as the school declined. I want to compliment the superintendent. We're going to rezone the elementary school, but we're committed to bringing in a preschool and actually making it a priority for all of the preschool students in that area. So really it's a win-win. As our elementary students, the school became such a small size. Not only was it very expensive to run, but it wasn't able to provide the students with all the opportunities of having full-time art teachers and music teachers because the numbers dropped below 200. So I'm very pleased with how the community worked with us, the community leaders. I want to compliment our superintendent for working hard to make it a win-win for everybody. I'm actually excited about a preschool in that area because now any preschooler, many of our preschool programs don't offer, we're not allowed to offer transportation. That will not be a barrier to any child in that area. So thank you, and I understand change is hard for people, but I know that those kids, the schools will welcome them. The schools that they're going to have all had plenty of room, and I think it will be good for the community. And I'm looking forward to Gibbons Street Preschool. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Sellers. Mrs. Fields?
I had an opportunity to talk to some of the community leaders and some of the residents of the Gibbons Street community, and as Ms. Sellers said, the ones that I spoke with were very supportive, and they were very complimentary of Ms. Michelle Townley, and talked about the great job that she did in presenting and making sure that everyone understood what was actually going to occur. So I will be supporting this effort.
Thank you, Mrs. Fields. So we have a motion and a second. We've had our discussion. All those in favor of approving the rezoning of Gibbons Street Elementary School, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, like sign. And the motion carries. And at this time, I would like to close the public hearing and reconvene our school board meeting. We have one emergency item that was added to our agenda today. Our Florida School Boards Association Legislative Committee, we reappoint those, our members and our alternates, once a year, typically in June. And so currently, Mrs. Sellers is the member on the Legislative Committee, and I serve as the alternate. And this evening, I would like to bring before you that Miss Sarah Beth Reynolds has volunteered to be the committee member, and Mr. Billy Townsend has graciously agreed to be the alternate. So board members, I bring that before you. What is the pleasure of the board?
Move for approval.
Second.
I have a motion by Mrs. Sellers and a second by Mr. Harris to approve Sarah Beth Reynolds as the FSBA Legislative Committee member and Billy Townsend as the alternate. Is there any discussion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, like sign. And the motion carries. And now we come to our superintendent's report. Mrs. Byrd, do you have an update for us this evening?
I do, thank you. I would first like to say congratulations to all of our Wheels of Engagement honorees. Wheels of Engagement is a new program that honors outstanding parent volunteers at our lower performing schools. Parent volunteers must complete numerous tasks, including attending orientation, conferences, and school activities. Eva Burgess of Spook Hill Elementary won a Ford Fusion, courtesy of Jared Gordon Ford, and $1,000 courtesy of Center State Bank. Tia Thygard of Bartow Middle and Elizabeth Morrissey of Caldwell Elementary each received $2,000, also courtesy of Center State Bank. Wheels of Engagement is a great program that encourages parental engagement. Thank you to all the parents and sponsors who made this, our first year, a great success. Now for some great news that I have for our county. Not sure if everyone actually was able to hear or see. I didn't see a lot of press around it, but we're very proud of the work that our district has accomplished for our teachers and our students. This year, upon the first release of the FSA data a week ago, last Thursday, Polk should be very proud of the direction we're moving. In our ELA for FSA data, grades 3 to 10, our overall, the students actually maintained 46%, improving from a level 3 from the previous year, and it was 46%. So they maintained that when the state increased at 1 percentage point. In our math, grades 3 to 8, our students improved overall, progressing from 50% level 3 or above in 2017 to 51% in 2018. Again, statewide, that was an improvement of 1 percentage point. Our FSA Algebra 1 ELCs, our students experienced great improvement, progressing from 47% level 3 or above in 2017 to 65% level 3 or above in 2018. Statewide, there was a 3 percentage point increase. Our geometry ELCs, Polk students improved their overall performance, progressing from 35% level 3 or above in 2017 to 41% level 3 or above in 2018. Statewide, there was an increase of 4 percentage point increase. Our science, grade 5, Polk students improved their performance, progressing from 44% of students scoring level 3 or above in 2017 to 51% of the students scoring level 3 or above in 2018. Statewide, there was an increase of 3 percentage points. Grade 8 science assessment, Polk students improve. Aren't you glad to hear that word improved each time? Their performance progressing from 40% of students scoring level 3 or above in 2017 to 42% scoring level 3 or above in 2018. Statewide, there's an increase of 2 percentage points. Our biology ELCs, our students improved their performance, progressing from 51% of students scoring level 3 or above in 2017 to 58% of students scoring level 3 or above in 2018. Statewide, there's a 2 percentage point increase. U.S. History ELCs, our students improved their performance, progressing from 56% of the students scoring level 3 or above in 2017 to 57% of the students scoring level 3 or above in 2018. Statewide, there was an increase of 1 percentage point. Our civics ELC, Polk students showed a great improvement, increasing their performance from 62% of students scoring level 3 or above in 2017 to 84% of students scoring level 3 or above in 2018. Statewide, there's a 2 percentage point increase. As you can see, the work that we're doing is grabbing hold, and our students are doing a phenomenal job. We're moving in the right direction. And my hats are off, and I say thank you to all the parents, students, teachers, and staff for this great accomplishment for 2018. And before I forget, Mr. Harris, you didn't remind me. A special board meeting will be held at 9 a.m. on Tuesday, July 24th, 2018, to advertise the tentative budget and the millage held in the auditorium at 1915 South Floor Avenue. Our next work session will be held at 12:30 on Tuesday, July 31st, 2018, in the Superintendent's Conference Room, followed by the school board meeting at 5 p.m. in the board auditorium. That concludes my announcements. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Byrd. And next, we have our attorney's report. Mr. Bridges, do you have an item for us today?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, Madam Chair. We've had a flurry of activity, and I've been asked to request authority to advertise a number of public hearings for that July 31st board meeting. I'll just rattle them off, and you can do a single motion for that, please, ma'am.
Thank you.
First will be the tentative budget and millage rates, public hearing on tentative budget and millage rates to start no earlier than 5:01 p.m. on July 31st, 2018. Next will be public hearing to approve charter school contracts for Edward W. Bach Academy North and Language and Literacy Academy for Learning. Next will be same date. Next will be the public hearing to approve changes to the 2018 Code of Student Conduct, same date. And finally, the public hearing to adopt revisions to school board policies, also on that date. The public hearings would be just scheduled back-to-back on the 31st.
You went a little bit fast. Could you repeat the last two?
Yes, ma'am.
Changes to the 2018, 2019.
Yeah, to the 2018 Code of Student Conduct, there'll be changes for the new year.
Hold on. Okay.
And the last one is the revisions to Polk County School Board policies that Mrs. Dodge has, I believe, already brought to you.
Okay. All right. So here we go. We need a motion for the 4 different items. One is to request to advertise a public hearing for the tentative budget and millage rates. Secondly, for the Edward W. Bach Academy North. Thirdly, for the Language and Literacy Academy for Learning. Fourth, the changes to the 2018 Code of Student Conduct. And fifth, the revision to the Polk County School Board policies. What is the pleasure of the board?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion by Mr. Harris and a second by Ms. Reynolds to approve the aforementioned 5 items for a public advertisement. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, like sign. Motion carries.
Thank you, Madam Chair. We'll arrange the ads.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate you, Mr. Bridges.
Yes, ma'am.
Next item would be our auditor's report, but I don't believe we have a report this evening, Ms. Matthews? Okay, thank you very much. Next, we move to our board member reports, and I would like to start with Mr. Townsend, District 1.
Hi, thank you. Couple of things. A fairly intense work session this morning. I just wanted to kind of catch folks up on that. I'll be brief. I will be sending a letter to the state attorney asking him or have someone investigate what exactly happened with the K-12 contract or lack of contract that's been circulating around for the last month. I have not been able to get the kind of detailed account I want to know of what happened. The information that I have that has been provided does not allow me to rule out the fact that the former deputy superintendent sought to set up some sort of deal or contract with a firm he then went to work for. And there are a number of other things. If you want to watch the meeting this morning, I kind of detailed stuff. I asked the board to join me in that letter. The board declined, which is fine. I'll write it on my own, and we'll see where it goes. I'm not satisfied. I'm not comfortable with what's been done. There's been very little communication to the board about it, and I think the public deserves a little better than that. So that's that part. The second part, relates to the Looney investigations, and you know, one of the things I've become aware of in my 18 months on the board here is how little power I have. I see the strongest power I have is trying to be as honest as I possibly can, to tell people who do have power what I think of how these things are being done. There are 2 dates in the Looney investigation saga that really destroy any credibility that this institution has in trying to address them. The first is August 31st of 2017. That was during the active investigation of Jason Looney. He was actively under investigation for sexual harassment by this institution. He called a mandatory faculty meeting. Tim Harris, our school member sitting right there, attended it. And Tim said this at that meeting: I appreciate those of you who were comfortable enough to send those emails, some of whom I did reply. And as a result of those emails, I felt like it was important for myself and the superintendent to come out and speak with you and show our support and support of Mr. Looney. This is while he's actively under investigation. The people in that room were witnesses. Unfortunately, the superintendent cannot be here. She has a very important family issue. She's out of the office for several days, so keep her in your prayers, please. I personally have gone through situations in my career, and I was with the school district for 31 years before I ran for school board, where I had a supervisor, let's just say, had a different paradigm from mine. I finally got to the point where I could handle the different paradigm because I decided that myself and that supervisor were always going to disagree. We just had a totally different philosophy of life. When I finally got to those mental positions with those 3 separate supervisors, I was able to deal with it a lot better and accept their differences from mine. It made looking for another job a lot easier mentally. That was under an active investigation. Put yourself as a teacher in that setting, and imagine how you would have felt. That meeting has never been investigated. It's not part of the investigations. It's been ignored. I've raised it probably 4 or 5 times in meetings. All I've ever asked is for us to take that seriously. Unfortunately, this organization has shown it doesn't take that meeting seriously. That meeting destroyed everything that came after. I have tried everything I can think of, quietly, openly, to try to get a real, honest, third-party review of it, and I failed because I am not that powerful. No. Secondly, there's a second date which destroys our credibility with the Loonies, and that's May 4th, 2018 of this year. There's a teacher named Juanita McCoy, who's an African-American teacher, who worked herself up from being a para. She had sort of an ongoing dispute with Laquita Looney at almost exactly the same time that the Jason Looney investigations at Tenorock were occurring. She was prosecuted. Laquita Looney called the police on her. She was prosecuted, and on May 4th, a year later, all charges against her were dropped. However, prior to that, we suspended her for 5 days without pay, really without due process. We transferred her forcibly out of the school on charges that were dropped. I have since, I asked, where is the HR investigation that justified this? And I was sent the police report. I have since listened to that police report, like these statements. They don't match what the police report said. I've listened to every one of them. I would encourage all of you, I have them. If any of you guys want to listen to them, I will bring them to your houses. This is a question of power and how we're going to address power. I think I have a record. I've been around for a long time in public, and the little bit of good I've been able to do has been able to try to stand up a little bit for people who don't have any power. I want you to think about Juanita McCoy's powerlessness as she was transferred without due process, without an HR investigation. I want you to think about the powerless people listening to Tim say that he supported a guy who was actively under investigation based on their witness accounts. I make no apologies for making this a thing. I really don't. My conscience is clear. I respect everybody in this room, but I have an oath. I have a compass. I won't be part of this. I won't, for the sake of being liked, say that it's okay. And I think that anybody who comes up here, and I know I'm about to get fussed at, so I welcome it. You know I love you guys. I want you, as you fuss at me, think about if you can say you approve of what I just said. If you can say, Billy, we approve of how Jason Looney handled that. We approve of how the district has handled this. You should say it, because I don't. I'm going to tell you right now, I don't. I have no confidence in him. I have no confidence in this institution's relationship with him or his wife, because their issues go back to 2010 at least. They were the subject of an investigation together in 2010 at George Jenkins, which no one on this board except me, I think, has bothered to read. I have begged people to read that investigation. Ultimately, I'm at your mercy. You know, this is the board doesn't have any interest in this. They've made this clear for a year. I have tried. The superintendent and Wes said they were going to do a review based on what I asked for, which was to come up with reforms, how we could keep this from happening again. They just ignored me. They never even bothered to tell me they had changed their mind. They said, yes, we're going to do it. And then I found out 6 months later that apparently he's been reappointed. No one even bothered to communicate to me. Who cares about me? I'm unimportant. The public is important. And this is a deep insult to the public. It's a deep insult to the people who work for us. And that's what I want to say. I'm sorry.
Thank you, Mr. Townsend. Ms. Sellers?
Thank you, Madam Chair. First of all, I attended my last legislative committee meeting. I am so thankful, Sarah Beth.
Can you tell?
They are interesting. I'm teasing because I have enjoyed the work. What is going to happen this year is that they're trying to get the legislative platform out sooner. So if you want to put anything on the platform, and I've got papers for everybody that gives you the information, they need to be submitted by July 27th of next month. And just remember, the only difference between doing items, did everyone get one? Is that when you, does everybody have them? Okay, when you submit an item, it looks slightly different from our own platform, because sometimes we have items that are specifically for our district. You have to remember the state platform has to be unified as far as the items on the state platform have to be for the entire state. One of the things we might address the DCD because we're low in the DCD as a district. But the state can't do that because in the DCD there's winners and losers. So we have to avoid those kind of items for the state platform. Wendy Dodge is a wonderful help. If there's something that you want to submit, I urge you to get her help. She gets it written properly and gets it to the state. So if there's anything that you want on the legislative platform, attached to the items, you'll see what's already on the 2018 platform. Anything on that, you don't have to resubmit. They're already going to be addressed. So I've enjoyed it. Sarah Beth, you will enjoy the meetings, I promise you. It's interesting. It's interesting to work with all of the issues that are important. When you work on the state, you work for those issues that are important to the entire state. And one other person I want to mention this evening, I know Joy Myers has left us to go on to another endeavor. I want to thank her immensely. In my early years, I had the privilege of being on the insurance committee, learned more about insurance than I ever imagined I would know. Joy Myers has saved this district millions. I believe we talked about it today, and I can't say the word, it's the lab fees. She, due to her effort and her working with Florida Blue, I believe, and I think we saw a figure of $1 million a year. That's Joy Myers. Quietly, she's humble, she's a hard worker. She has done, but our health clinics, she single-handedly worked to put those together. So she just needs to be recognized. She's not here this evening, but I know the rest of you are with me in appreciating the hard work, the good work she did for our district for years. I wish her the best, and she will be missed. And that concludes my report this evening. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Sellers. Ms. Reynolds?
I just want to first start off by saying we haven't had a meeting since graduations happened, but first thanking all of our school administrations because every graduation went seamlessly, and that is 100% because of our principals and guidance counselors. So I just want to thank them for how smoothly all of our graduations went. It's really nice when it goes quickly. So those of you that kept it under an hour and 15 minutes, it was extremely impressive, not gonna lie. So thank you. Also, I just wanna welcome Mr. Hill, who got my name right today. So we're doing really good, but we're so excited to have you, and I'm glad that you're getting into everything. So we appreciate you, and that's my report.
Thank you, Ms. Reynolds. Ms. Fields?
Thank you, Ms. Cunningham. I just wanted to remind everyone that Dr. Gil McKenzie, who was our first appointed superintendent, passed away on May the 24th. And she was a phenomenal woman, and she did a great work while she was here as our first appointed superintendent. And her celebration of life would be in Denton, Texas on July the 7th. At 1:30 in the afternoon, and there would be many of us going from the school district to pay honor to an amazing woman. I wanted to make everyone aware of that. Also wanted to commend Miss Jackie and her team and all of the hardworking employees of the school district for an amazing school year. We finished strong, and we look forward to what we will be able to witness in the new school year. Also wanted to thank Joy Myers, as Ms. Sellers said, for the amazing job that she's done in her position, and she will be missed, and we wish her the best as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Fields. Mr. Harris?
A couple of readings I'd like to do tonight, but I also like to offer my congratulations to Joy Myers. She was a great benefit to this district, and saddened to lose her. First thing I'd like to share and direct you to the board policy. You can find it online. Go to the staff page, not the staff page, the community page, I believe it is, and drop down to board policies and click on that, and you can look through the rules by which this board has set up this district by. And some of those relate to the board itself. Specifically, the first section is called bylaws, and I would like to read a portion of one called Standards for Boardsmanship. And it's policy 0123 if you would like to look it up. It goes from A to P. I'm not going to read all of those to you. You can read those on your own, but I would like to share a couple of them with you. As a member of the school board, each school board member shall promote the best interest of the school district as a whole, and to that end, each board member shall adhere to the following educational and ethical standards. F out of that list says, hold confidential all matters pertaining to the educational system that may needlessly harm individuals or the system, and respect the confidentiality of information that is privileged. And H in that policy, work with the superintendent, neither undermining nor intruding into the areas legally assigned to the school administration. Another thing I would like to share with you this evening, any society goes through change. And you can kind of see that change on a continuum that I've heard referred to as OTAPE, O-tape. Object, tolerate, accept, participate, enjoy. Object, O-T-A-P-E, tolerate, accept, participate, and enjoy. Just think about any change that occurs, and we go through that mental process and that physical process to get from objecting to something to enjoying that. In light of Mr. Townsend's reading tonight of the proclamation, I would like to share something else, the other side of the story, if you will. Homosexuality is a hot button issue in the world today. From the issues surrounding gay marriage to the activism and gay pride parades all around, it's clear that it won't just go away. Unfortunately, due to these issues, tensions have grown between the homosexual community and the Christian community. And it's sad to say that many Christians have not just disagreed with the gay lifestyle, but have vehemently attacked and mocked them in an ungodly way. While it is true that the Bible speaks against homosexuality, it also speaks against the mistreatment of others. In fact, the Bible promotes a selfless love that, while not tolerating sin, will be able to confront people in an appropriate and godly way. Thus, it's vitally important that all people go to the Scriptures to clear up any confusion regarding homosexuality. So here are 7 Bible verses about homosexuality. 1 Corinthians 6, 9 through 11. Or do you not know that the unrighteous will not inherit the kingdom of God? Do not be deceived. Neither the sexually immoral, nor idolaters, nor adulterers, nor men who practice homosexuality, nor thieves, nor the greedy, nor drunkards, nor revelers, nor swindlers will inherit the kingdom of God. And such were some of you. But you were washed, you were sanctified, and you were justified in the name of the Lord Jesus Christ by the Spirit of our God. Romans 1, 26 through 28. For this reason God gave them up to dishonorable passions. For their women exchanged natural relations for those that are contrary to nature. And the men likewise gave up natural relations with women and were consumed with passion for one another. Men committing shameless acts with men and receiving in themselves the due penalty for their error. And since they did not see fit to acknowledge God, God gave them up to a debased mind to do what ought not to be done. Mark 10, 6 through 9. But from the beginning of creation, God made them male and female. Therefore a man shall leave his father and mother and hold fast to his wife, and the two shall become one flesh. So they are no longer two, but one flesh. What therefore God has joined together, let not man separate. 1 Timothy 1, 10 and 11. The sexually immoral, men who practice homosexuality, enslavers, liars, perjurers, and whatever else is contrary to sound doctrine, in accordance with the gospel of the glory of the blessed God with which I have been entrusted. Leviticus 20, 13. If a man lies with a male as with a woman, both of them have committed an abomination. They shall surely be put to death. Their blood is upon them. Leviticus 18, 22. You shall not lie with a male as with a woman. It is an abomination. And the last one, Genesis 9, 1 through 5. The 2 angels came to Sodom in the evening, and Lot was sitting in the gate of Sodom. When Lot saw them, he rose to meet them and bowed himself with his face to earth and said, My lords, please turn aside to your servant's house and spend the night and wash your feet. Then you may rise up early and go on your way. They said, No, we will spend the night in the town square. But he pressed them strongly. So they turned aside to him and entered his house. And he made them a feast and baked unleavened bread, and they ate. But before they lay down, the men of the city, the men of Sodom, both young and old, all the people to the last man, surrounded the house. And they called to Lot, Where are the men who came to you tonight? Bring them out to us, that we may know them. In conclusion, Although homosexuality is a big issue in today's world, people can learn a lot if they only dive into the scriptures. Yes, the scriptures do list homosexuality as a sin. However, everyone must realize that there are many other sins as well, including those committed by heterosexual people. A homosexual is no more a sinner than the guy and the girl who have casual sex together. It's good for Christians to be concerned about homosexuality, but not to the point where they are pinpointing that one sin and placing it above all others. Christians must reach out to homosexuals in a non-aggressive way as Jesus would. They must be completely loving and truly care about the person. They need Jesus as much as anyone else does. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, Mr. Harris. And now I have a few items for my report. We celebrated our Hall of Fame and our honor graduate banquet a few weeks back. And I'm very excited. It's one of the nicest events that I believe our school district puts on. It's where our valedictorians and salutatorians from every school come to a banquet and get to meet all of the folks who have been inducted in the Polk County Schools Hall of Fame. So it's a place that I call where the past meets the present. And it gives these young people a chance to see what some of the people that have left our school district and graduated from our schools, what they have gone on to accomplish. Sometimes you need that in life's journey when things get you down. And I just think it's a wonderful opportunity to celebrate the past with the present. And I would just like to congratulate once again Commander Terry Chauncey, Mrs. Joyce Connolly Simmons, the Honorable Hubert Grimes, and Mr. Joel L. Thomas for being our inductees this past May. So congratulations, and we look forward to next year's wonderful event. I, too, want to say a few words about Ms. Myers very quickly. She was a wonderful human being that worked very hard for our school district. I can single-handedly tell you that we would not have the wonderful health clinics, both in Haines City and in Lakeland, if it wasn't for Ms. Myers. She did an incredible job opening those up for our employees and for most of you that use them. I don't know how many here in this room. Let me see a show of hands how many people that work for us have used the employee health clinic, Haines City or Lakeland. Okay, most of the room. So we can thank her for that. So yes, I too want to wish Ms. Myers the very best as she moves on to a new season of life, and just thank her so much for the time and talent that she gave to open those clinics up for our employees. And last but not least, every year I always say as we go off to relaxation and fun in the summer, parents, don't forget, we have the most amazing library cooperative in the world. All of our libraries in Polk County are tied together. If your child needs a book and they can't find it at your local one, they can order it from one of the other libraries in one of our adjacent cities. So there's absolutely no excuse. Get your kids books to read over the summer. It is probably the most important thing that we can do. Just get them 5, 10, whatever, however many books, and let them enjoy it. And take advantage of that library cooperative because we're very blessed to have that in Polk County.